Hello. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me yet again. Today, I have with me two beautiful young women from Africa, and today we're blessed we have a representative from East Africa, Kenya, and from West Africa, Sierra Leone. So I'm very, very excited. And what makes it more special, they are both named Esther. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation. Today, we'll be looking at building climate resilience for young female leaders in the global south. I'm very excited for this conversation. To save time and to get the most out of our panelists today, I'll just jump in with a brief as to who our lovely speakers are today. So first we have with us Esther Joyro Akinyi, based in Kenya. She's a junior research associate with experience in clean energy, e-mobility, and climate resilience. She currently leads multi-country research projects, policy analysis, and stakeholder coordination across sub-Saharan Africa, with the focus specifically on advancing e-mobility and renewable energy access, particularly in off-grid areas. And she's currently a champion for sustainability, inclusivity, and SDG impact. Esther Karibu as my neighbor. And then we also have the beautiful Esther Kamara, based in Sierra Leone, who's a climate justice advocate and founder of Youth Initiative for Climate Action, um, who recently just launched a climate mentorship program. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. She's also a YALI alumni from 2023 and a climate rep for She Leads. Karibu, that's Swahili for welcome. I'm so excited to have you both here to discuss about building climate resilience and your specific experience as young female leaders in the climate space in Kenya and in Sierra Leone. Um, First of all, I hope I didn't butcher any of your surnames. If so, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Mine is okay.
Yours is okay, and Esther Joyro?
That's okay.
Good, good, good. Now, for the sake of less confusion, to make sure we're on the same page, Esther Joy will be, I'll be identifying you as Esther J, and Esther Kamara will be Esther K, so that we can be going on the same line and saving time. So to begin with, I would love to hear, and I'm sure my father would love to hear as well, what does climate resilience mean to you guys personally, and as like a female leader in the global south? What does when you hear climate resilience, what are the first words that come to you?
Was the question sent to me?
Yes, anyone can just answer. Whoever is feeling passionate to answer what you understand by climate resilience.
Okay. So I guess I'll go first. Hi everyone on the call. It's a great pleasure, Kathleen, to really be here and to share my experience with other young people around the globe and to really connect. For me, climate justice means having women on the table, taking decisions, being part of decision making, and being represented at all decision making platforms.
Mhm.
And I want to see a future where young people are, of course, definitely empowered and capacitated to take charge of the environment and to lead green, smart initiatives. That's what I envision when I speak about climate and environmental justice.
Love it, love it, love it. Esther J, when you hear of climate resilience, what comes to mind?
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine, for that question and everyone for joining. So, for me, climate resilience would mean the ability to adapt to climate change effects. That is, having the knowledge and having the tools, having the necessary resources to help you adjust because
Mm,
climate change comes in and it disrupts your daily life. And so you're going to need tools or you're going to need knowledge to navigate on how you're going to adapt on this particular problem. So for me, that is what climate resilience means. Yes.
love it, love it, love it. Um, the thing that comes to mind, specifically being a woman in Africa, from Africa, being raised and born in Africa, is that we are the ones who are highly impacted by the climate crisis, and we're the ones who have to find the solution. I think we identified the crisis, but we weren't able to find the solution. My generation, your generation right now have the task and have taken it head on in regards to finding a solution to the climate question and being part of the solution. What I'd love to hear from you is exactly if there was anyone who paved the way for you guys, who opened the door for you to say that this is something that you need to act on. Why didn't you decide to go to other fields that would benefit from your expertise as well? Maybe we could start with Esther J now. Who paved the way for you?
Okay. Let me just begin from a background as to why I began to
Mm,
study environmental science, and also what led me to do a research study on how climate change affects the fishing community in Kindu Bay, that is my local home, and now
mm,
how it affects the women from that place. So I have a professor who teaches me environmental science, though he passed away. May his soul rest in peace. He taught me courses related to energy,
mm,
sustainable transport, and all that. He made me realize the importance of, um, let me say, the local community, the vulnerable people who are highly affected by these things to do with climate change. And
mm,
so when we build solutions and we get to give them the solutions, then they are well adapted and they're highly impacted. For instance, those who are not able to access energy, when you get to give them solar, you're going to power their homes, you're going to power their education, and you're going to assist them in their day-to-day activities. On the case of my study on the climate change impacts on the fishing community, in a fishing community, you have boat owners, you have traders, you have the fishermen and all that, but you find women are more inclined to the trading aspect. So when there are instances of climate change, you find that there's a decline in fish stock, and that is in the lake. So remember, when there's no fish, they're not able to trade. And that means that is a disruption of their livelihood. So some of these things have made me to really get so much passion and so much interest in the climate space, so that I'm able to build up and develop solutions that would address some of these issues. Yeah, thank you.
love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And Esther K, can you resonate with anything that Esther J has said, or was your experience different?
Yeah, someone actually definitely paved the path for me. Her name is Kalon. She is also a climate advocate here in Sierra Leone.
Mm,
I I came to know her through an empowerment summit for women. It was a gender equality summit actually here in Sierra Leone. So we met there, and then she saw how eager I was about environmental issues and everything that has to do about women's empowerment. I
mm,
grew up in a family, a polygamous family, where my dad had 15 children, and majority of them are women. So mostly
mm,
in my family, boys have to go to school and girls have to stay home because then there were not really enough resources. And while my family depended on agriculture at that time, because we
mm,
actually came from the northern part of Sierra Leone, while my family depended on agriculture for most of the things that my family would actually feed on and clothe on, these were the issues that we were currently facing at home. So she saw that passion in me, and she
mm.
definitely wanted me to tap into this space. So I tapped into that space, and today I'm here doing extremely things for other young women in my country.
Oh, love that. Love that. What I'm taking from what you said specifically is the importance of mentorship, the importance of accepting when someone sees someone in you and trusting that what they see in you can really come to life. We'll dig a bit deeper in that, a tap it later. But based off your feedback, the first question, the next question that comes to mind is specifically looking at women. who have paved the way for us and the knowledge that we have in regards to the climate space. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that the ecological knowledge is respected and not erased by formal climate policies?
Sorry if you can come again. It was
Yes, so
really.
can you hear me well now, or is it still shaky? So I was
Hello.
asking, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So I was just asking, based off the women that we've seen in this in the climate space, the women before us, what can we do to make sure that the knowledge that they have is preserved and taken into consideration in terms of solutions? That's something that you guys have encountered in your journey for climate resilience, taking into consideration the previous knowledge from the women in front of us, or do you guys find yourself in a situation that you need to come up with new solutions for the climate crisis?
Okay, so if I hear your question, the first part of it was how do we ensure that the knowledge that has been given to us by our mentors, women that have been
Mm,
here before us, how
yes,
can we be able to preserve it, right?
yes,
For
yes.
me, I think one way that I'm working on preserving those knowledge is to see how I transfer these skills to other young women in my country. So
Mm,
basically, when I started, in as much as Yata was one person who really encouraged me to be in this space, she also worked a 9 to 5 job within a ministry, government ministry, and that was
mm,
not enough chance for us to meet to discuss about my
yeah.
project. I am one person. If I think about it at 2 a.m., I have to discuss it with someone by 2 minutes past 2 a.m. So because I want to keep the ideas very active and very fresh, it was really difficult for me to have access to mentorship. So while my aunt on the other side was someone who was really playing the role of introducing me to a lot of people within the climate space, my aunt will always go to young people who do not have the chance to have access to this. So one of the ways
Mm,
that I've been able to do that is to see how I can create a mentorship program. I've worked on this particular project for about 2 years. Then we finally launched it this year. That was last month. It was a way to see how young women can also learn from other people who are doing extremely great, especially women within the global
mm,
south, within the African continent, if I can say that, and to see how we can transfer this knowledge. Because I have come to understand that in Sierra Leone, my country where I live, in order for young women to actually take lead in environmental issues, they have to be educated. There is
yep.
no other way aside from that. They need to be
Mm,
educated, they need to be equipped, they have to understand the issues, they have to understand policies. So even if they want to go against government rules, even if they want to go against local councils, whatever policies they are passing in parliament, if they do not understand the basics of how everything started, it will be really hard for them to stand
yep.
up for their rights and speak up for themselves. So one way we as women can actually transfer this knowledge to other women is to maybe start a small talk. It cannot be necessarily be a mentorship, because running a mentorship, what took me longer to actually launch this within the period of 2 years was because I was actually thinking about finances.
Mm,
I didn't just want it to be one mentorship that would end and young people would not have to put their ideas into action. I
mm,
needed a donor to come up and say, I would give you an amount of money for girls and young women to go launch. So now we have about 20 women, and we'll be giving about 6,000 US dollars at the end of the 6 months CNE for them to go launch activities in their community. So let's
love
not just think about it as being knowledge based, but also think about how they can put these skills into real actions.
love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So inspired. Esther J, what about you? Do you have any mentor that comes to mind and how you would think of how to preserve what they've taught you so far?
So I just build on what my fellow Esther has mentioned, that mentorship is quite important, but also building the capacity, because
Mm,
we might get in touch with you as my mentor, but when you
mm,
don't follow up with me or get me to where I can really build up those skills that I'm learning, then they're not going to be of any use. Also,
mhm,
knowing that the climate space, the environment space is very broad. it's not particular to one thing. You could be
Yeah.
in the energy space, you could be in e-mobility, you could be doing reforestation, you could be participating in policy building and all that. You have those young girls who are beside you or they're under you, and you're able to capacitate them to do whatever they can to build resilience in their communities.
Mhm.
Yes.
Love it. And maybe I'm going to push a bit harder on you, Esther J, in regards to Kenya, because we're seeing the amazing work that Esther K is doing in pushing like intergenerational mentorship by the mentorship program that she's recently launched. Have you ever thought as to how you can play in building long-term climate resilience for girls and young women in Kenya?
Well, okay. So maybe I'd just say, still being young in the space, just
Yes.
getting to finalize my education this year and getting to graduate. Just thinking on, I can say from my final, is it high school?
Mm,
When joining into this course of environmental science in Kenya, that was not a popular course by then, because
mm,
people didn't get to really know the value of resilience around climate change. So
yeah.
first, myself, what I would begin when I go back to my local community is to encourage the young girls out there that this is a very beautiful course. You get to learn and get to build solutions that can truly impact your community. Having me there as a person they can see, and also getting them to interact with people who have also been there before. Like Esther said, knowledge is the basis of everything. Without that knowledge, then definitely I wouldn't know how to go around this particular kind of space. So back at home, I would really try and build on how my fellow young women can get to know about the environment space. Yes.
Love it. Thank you so much for your comment on that. And now bouncing the ball back to Esther K, there is something that you mentioned prior, how one of the reasons that it took you 2 years to launch your mentorship program was funding. And we all understand that funding is tight right now and it's tough. Best case scenario, if funding wasn't an issue, and you had a donor full funding, full freedom, which is, I think, any grassroots organizer or social worker's dream. What would be one initiative that you would launch to support climate resilient futures for the girls in your community?
So aside funding for the mentorship, I have been doing a lot of capacity building work when it
Mm,
comes to capacity in women and girls in climate action in Sierra Leone. In as much as my organization focuses on youth, one of our flagship was to see how we can actually center the voices of women. So I have a lot
mm,
of capacity building projects that I do
mm,
that really require funding, but since there was no funding at that time, I still went ahead doing it. One
yeah.
is to see how young people can develop young women can develop climate adaptive solutions in their community. So what we do, Plan International here in Sierra Leone have a youth space, like it's an office building where they dedicate it to young people in Sierra Leone. So you can go there anytime, no cost. You can use their electricity, you can use their internet, and you can use whatever training material that is actually in the hall and be able to teach young people. But I'm
Mm,
one person who started my climate activism through my own pockets. I supported
mm,
my organization for a year and a half with my own finances. So sometimes when I speak from a place of passion and not because the
yeah.
funding is actually coming. I have been
Mm,
able, it went to a point that I nearly used my school fee, my college fee, to sponsor an activity to actually see it go through. I and my co-founder have been doing that. So even when the funding do come, it means that it's just compensating our work and making sure that we
mm,
make it bigger. So since we have the Plan International space, I usually would gather 20 to 10 women and use my own personal finance to just see how we can get a lot of refreshment, at least for them
mm,
to eat while we do the training. Have been able to build a network of women who can come and say, I want to learn without actually getting any transport funds. So when we actually, what what actually made us wait for the 2 years to actually launch this climate mentorship is because we knew how expensive it would be. I live in a country where network issues is a problem. To be on this call today, I'm currently not at home. I'm actually at the same office to make
Thank
sure
you
that I
so
have
much.
internet access so I will
Yeah.
be able to connect to this. So, in
Mm,
order to make it really sustainable, you have to look at all these aspects for women. You have to think
mm,
about what if she is not able to join the call on a Monday, on a Thursday, because she has a lot of things to do. My mentorship even runs on Sundays because I try to
mm,
speak with the women and say, what time and what days best suit your schedule? Because we
mm,
all understand the social economic challenges that women are facing within the continent. So I try to make sure that all of our solutions towards improving this program is being localized. So that was why it took us that amount of years to actually do it, because we needed something that will be sustainable, something that the women will look back at and say, I'm happy I really applied and that I was part of the first 20 women that were selected. In fact, we were willing to make it about 30 women, but because of lack of funding, we couldn't
mm,
even increase the number to 30 women. And it was at the end of almost selecting process that our donor who decided to give us the money to give to the women as seed grant for them to operate at the end of the 6 months. But then we are
mm.
happy because going forward, we're looking to see how we can take at least above 20, above 30, and above 50 women to implement projects in their own communities. So with or without the money, the work have been going on. We've been able to create a lot of impact, and we're still doing the job.
Love it. You are the things that really spoke to me and I resonate with was passion, purpose, and partnership. And even as I hear you speak, I just remember the women who raised me, the women in my community, that regardless, whether or not you have money, you will make sure that there's food on the table. Whether or not you have money, your kids will still go to school. So it's like women generally in the global south, we make it happen. Regardless, whatever we have, we will pull strings together to make sure that the children we're raising are safe in whatever community. So I really love that you really embodied that spirit as well. I'm learning so much. And as for on your part, if you were given funds right now, full discretion, what initiative would you take to support young women in your community?
Thank you so much for that question, Catherine. One thing I would say, I would love to build on my current research that is looking at
Mm,
climate change and the fishing
mm,
community. As I noted that during those instances, then when there's erratic rainfall and there's a change in temperature and a
mm,
rise of water levels in the lake, then there are
mm,
instances where fish decline. There's a decline in fish stock. So to the women who are traders out here, they're unable to continue with their normal livelihoods because that is the
mm,
only livelihood they depend on. And so something I would love to introduce to them is they need a solar powered station for drying their fish that is able to
mm,
keep the fish for a long time. You know, there'll be no spoilage and their livelihood will continue. Number two, also the solar would help them have a cooler to freeze their fish. So that is something that I would really love to introduce back in my local community, and also possibly develop a partnership with financial institutions so that these fishing communities, they are able to have microfinance
mm,
models where they're able to save their money, and also if they need continuity of businesses, they would get loans at good interest, and this would empower them in the long run. Also maybe find alternative sources of livelihoods other than fishing, because now climate change is here with us. We are going to still experience a lot of floods. We are going to experience a lot of disruption in the lake. And so when they're unable to get their livelihood from the lake, what else can they do apart from that? So for me, that is something I'm very passionate about, knowing that I will be able to impact the women themselves and they'll be able to have something for their families back at home. Yes.
mm. Love it. I love the way you're speaking and you're also forecasting not just now, but also how can we make sure that it's sustainable? How can we make sure that even beyond the research, the women still are benefiting and seeing the impact? Um, and I also appreciate the way that you're foreseeing the change in mindsets of research. I think a majority of us, when we hear research, we automatically think this is a more education side. It's not really a technical thing. So I'm really appreciate the way you've been able to frame it in such a way that there's a balance between what you've done research on and actually implementing it to the community. So that's something that I really found interesting. And that sums up, there's something that you mentioned prior as to how you really want to be walking the walk, for lack of better terms. So it's not just a matter that you're a climate activist. And I think this is something that both of you really showcase well, that you're not just passionate in the terms of your CVs, but you're passionate in the terms of you're actually walking the walk in your communities and showcasing to people that it can be done. You just need to have a vision and the passion, and everything else will follow. And that's one thing I'm really learning and seeing from Esther K, particularly, that she started this from her own pocket with no funding, but she had a vision. She was like, this is going to happen with or without support, because she saw where she wanted the Women in Sierra Leone to be, and look at her now, she has received funding. And I'm sure that this is just the beginning of great things for you guys. Um, we're almost rounding up. Just hang in there. I won't take too much of your time again. I don't know if you guys in Kenya and in Sierra Leone, if you guys are experiencing climate anxiety, because with my conversation with other peers, that's a topic that continuously comes up. Climate anxiety. Everyone is going through climate anxiety. Do you guys? Is that something that you guys are facing? And if so, what gives you hope to persevere in the midst of all the climate anxiety around us or in your communities?
Us currently in Sierra Leone, we're experiencing a lot of flooding since it's
Mm,
raining. On Wednesday, it's flooded heavily, and we lost about seven people, a family of seven actually, were dashed away by the floods. So that's a lot of shock and climate anxiety that is currently happening. And the reason why my work, in fact, speaks a lot when it comes to even social media, aside looking for other young people doing a lot of work in the climate space here, is because we have been able to at least educate a lot of people about it. And when you think about rural communities that are actually don't have access to information, it's hard for them to really understand exactly what's going on. They tend blaming everything on the government at this point once it's flooding, to then they forget that it's our own human activities that are actually causing the entire floods. But however, what we've been able to do is to see how we educate them more, especially when it comes to our local dialects and other languages that
mm,
are spoken here in Sierra Leone, and to make sure that our people really do adapt to the crisis. So it's something, it's new actually here in Sierra Leone, the entire climate phase. People are yet to
yeah.
believe what's happening in the global space, but they'll catch up as we
Love the
go on.
positivity, love it. And Esther J, what are things looking like in Kenya? Is there climate
Okay,
anxiety? Do they understand it?
okay. So just to mention, July in Kenya is usually very, very cold.
Yeah.
But sometime last year, same time, we were experiencing a lot of floods. It was all over. I
Mm,
mean, I can remember I was in school, we were doing exams, but you couldn't even go to class and do your final exam. You have to, you know, it was a lot. But as of now, I can say from that instance up to today, there's a lot of climate awareness, most particularly around doing a lot of reforestation on the matters of e-mobility. It's really coming up in Kenya. And right now, I wouldn't say there are no floods. It's just rain once in
mm,
a while, but the cold is still there. But something you wouldn't know at what time it's going to rain like before. You'd predict, right now there's going to be a lot of rains. You need to have your what and what. Right now, while I'm going to work, I need to have everything set because I don't know, it could be shining one morning, and in the evening, by the time I'm going home, it's really raining. So that is the issue in Kenya right now. But something I can say is the climate awareness levels are going up very high. Beginning from schools, the curriculums are trying to change. People are getting more education on these things and how they are well best and able to adapt and mitigate measures on the same. Yeah.
Love it. What the common factor from both your discussions: educate, 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 capacity build, capacity build, capacity build. And I think that's something that also needs to be looked into in regards to the curriculum for the education system to make sure that climate resilience, climate anxiety is something that is put in the, because I really believe where we're headed right now. It's basic knowledge, it's general knowledge. Everyone should be aware of what is climate resilience, what is climate anxiety, how can they be part of the solution, what ideas do they need to start coming up with. I believe that it's like once we start planting the seed right now, when people are still young and their brains are still fresh, the solutions will just be flowing out there. So I'm really excited. Um, Now, given that you guys are both young, you both are women, you both are in the climate space, fast forward 10 years, what legacy do you see yourself leaving for the next generation? When they think of Esther Joyer, what would you like them to remember you by in the climate space? And when they think of Esther Kamara, what would you like them to remember you with?
So just to begin, in 10 years, I would like people to know that I was I was an advocate for a good environment, number one. And
Mm,
that is through, I'm passionate about storytelling, about raising awareness via social media. Even my friends along the way, they would know you are not supposed to litter when you're next to me, because why? You need to be a responsible citizen. Dispose whatever you're disposing
mm,
very well. Something else, because in my line, I'm so passionate about e-mobilities, EVs, and all that stuff. Right now, e-mobility is coming in. People are adopting it slowly by slowly. And being a girl in that space, when we are 10 years ahead and we are running on EVs, we are having a few emissions on carbon. I know my friends would be like, she was part of that movement. When they see me right now, I have friends who see me and they'd say, I've seen an EV somewhere, I've seen an e-bus somewhere. So I'd also want um, that this education is sustainable in the long run. That is the intergenerational aspect that you were speaking about earlier. I'd love to
yeah,
pass on knowledge and um, teach young girls on how they can be great ambassadors of the environment. Thank you.
thank you, Robin. Esther K.
So for me, in the next 10 years, I would love to be remembered in the climate space as a lady who gave her all into climate activism and empowered other young people in our country to actually adapt to the crisis and to make a great sense of their future in the space, whether it's through environmental justice advocacy, whether it's the continuation of the climate mentorship, because in the next 10 years, I would definitely be out of the youth space. And then I would have someone else run my organization since it's youth focused. But then I want to be in a space that I will be remembered for these things, knowing that young people have been capacitated enough to actually get a lot of grants within other industries to be able to support my country, Sierra Leone. But most importantly, I want to be able to be remembered as the woman who created change through her voice in the climate space by capacitating other young people to do amazingly things for themselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. And to wrap it up, if you can all give one word of wisdom to the youth listening to you right now, one word of wisdom.
For me, it will be if you have a dream,
Mm,
believe in it. Even if the funding doesn't come, just believe in it, because my life is a testament that if you put in the work and you pour in your resources, people will see you. The fact is, people are looking. They're listening, they're observing what you're doing. They're just waiting for the right time for them to believe and actually pour into your dream that you currently have. So believe in it, develop it, and most importantly, make it happen no matter what.
Beautiful. And Esther J?
Yes, just to say, be the change you want to see. So it begins by you. You have to lead the way and then people will follow. So if you're seeing something is not right wherever you are, you have to take the initiative. You have to develop something that can be built up upon and it can make impact and change whatever you do not want to see. So I would proudly say that be the change you want to see. Yeah.
Thank you. You guys, I have unlearned and relearned so much today. I'm so proud of you guys. If no one has told you, please receive your flowers. You guys are doing amazing work in Sierra Leone and in Kenya. Esther K, what you have done so far, I am excited to see how far you'll take your organization. I'm excited to see the mentorship program grow to be amazing because I can just foresee what the future is looking like for you guys. And for Esther J, I know you've just begun, but your future is looking so bright. And one thing that I personally would like to commit to, I want to introduce you to a lady in Tanzania who I like to call is the Queen of Fisheries. She speaks all terminologies and research fisheries and how to scale up on fisheries. And I really see that you guys could have a conversation that can most likely lead to supporting each other in the work that you guys are both doing. So after this conversation, I will drop you the contact so that you guys can be in touch. But I cannot thank you guys enough for giving me your time on a Friday. I know as youth, Fridays are the days that you guys de-stress. So thank you for your 40 minutes of your time on Friday. I wish you guys all the best. I'm very much inspired and I am I'm very positive for the solutions that you guys will bring into the climate space. And I wish you guys nothing but the best in your endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Cool. So we'll
Thank you
make
for
sure
having.
to tag your LinkedIn profile when this ends, in case so that we really promote people to follow you guys. It's also available on my YouTube as well. But yeah, until next time, next month we'll have another speaker as well. Thank you and have a great night.